So here's a few news articles. Somebody from this conference sent me a Twitter DM. There's going to be a blockchain security conference in San Francisco on June 7. It costs $200, but he said there are student volunteer positions available, which I guess would get you in for free. So check that out if you're interested. They don't seem to have listed the speakers yet, but it might be interesting. So Ron DeSantis and the Republicans in Florida revoked Disney's special status. Overlaps with RSA? Well, I don't know. I don't pay attention to when RSA is. Possibly. Let me put the link up here. Let's see. Let's see when RSA is. Yes, apparently it does overlap with RSA, which is an interesting decision. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so they revoked Disney's special tax status in Florida, and this would greatly harm Disney and greatly harm the residents of Florida, but it turns out it's illegal and it can't happen because as part of Disneyland or Disney World, whichever one it is in Florida, being treated as if it was its own special city, it sold bonds, and the bonds included a legal clause saying that nothing about their special legal status could be altered until those bonds became mature. And some of them go out till 2029. So if they really want to do this, they can't do it until 2029. And I think that's very good news because I would imagine by then Ron will probably have left to become president, and the next Florida administration may not be governed in such a haphazard fashion. So this is kind of amazing, and I think it's just a video. Okay, I thought there was actually a write-up someplace. Let me see if I can somehow make this a reasonable size. Nope, it's not going to get bigger here, and the full screen will go out of the range of Twitch. Then I'll just have to describe it, and I'll put the link up here so people can try to put it on their own computers. They might be able to zoom in correctly. But the point is, he's found that you can add an extra file in Windows Event Viewer somewhere in the path. He can add an extra file which is then executed when you launch Event Viewer. Now, I think Microsoft doesn't care because it doesn't let you escalate privileges. Let me see if I can get it. There, here's it's this path starting with local app data, going into something called recent views. You can put something in there, and somehow the code in there is executed when you launch Event Viewer. So it shows, he says it's from unsafe.NET deserialization, which is what's interesting. That'll be tonight's lecture topic about .NET. So it might be nice to learn more about that. There doesn't seem to be anything but this video, unfortunately, not a write-up or a GitHub or anything about it. So may or may not have enough information there to actually figure out how to reproduce it. This one was pretty entertaining. This is a piece of malware, and it does many, many checks trying to find every kind of VM. VM keys, VM drivers, VBox tray, check the MAC address, check something called PNP entity, and so on. He really, many, many ways tries to find out if he's in a virtual machine. This is common for Android malware, that it detects when it's running in an emulator, so you have to do Android malware research with a real Android phone. Windows, it's not that common, although I suppose it's increasing in common. That it doesn't actually, that the malware detects that you're putting it in an analysis environment and doesn't run the same way. Apparently, the military housing landlords have been just not fixing the apartment, lying to people, letting mold grow in the walls and make people sick and all that. Kind of reminds me of the scandals of the VA. Not very surprising. But anyway, there's been a Senate panel investigating it, and hopefully they'll do something about it. This is pretty amazing. So apparently the spies in Russia's FSB are just as incompetent and worthless as their army. Their army has been revealed to be just a bunch of complete clowns, not even trying, abandoning their vehicles. They can't even keep their tires inflated. They can't even supply their troops. And so the spies tried to create a fake Putin assassination plot. He keeps on trying to create false flag operations where something happens inside Russia that he can blame on the Ukrainians to try to motivate people. But it is so clumsy that they actually posted a behind-the-scenes footage of agents seizing the property, but the property they seized included a document, a menacing book stating "Kill to live and live to kill," signed with the name of Signature Unclear. What they did was they took the stage direction from the people who told them how to make the prop and said, put the book here and put an unclear signature on the bottom, and they just left it saying Signature Unclear. So that's ridiculously bad, just like most of what the Russian military has been doing. So anyway, this is a tester of keys, which is kind of good for cryptographic keys. This is a big problem, especially with RSA, but SSL certificates and so on. There are another one of these called SSL Test, which is useful to test websites to see if their HTTPS certificate is good enough. I put in a normal RSA key, which, let me make this bigger. There, it looks like that, and it will check it and tell you if there's anything wrong with it. And that one's good without vulnerabilities. And it'll test for various vulnerabilities. So I think this one, Debian OpenSSL. Yep, that had the Debian OpenSSL. I remember that one. There was a period of time when OpenSSL had a failure in the random numbers generator. So the random numbers were predictable, and the whole bunch of keys generated for a couple of years were unsafe, and this detects it's one of them. Oh, thought they were competent enough to hack us in 2016? Oh, they certainly are, and many other times. But succeeding in hacking somebody doesn't mean any particularly large amount of competence in general. But you're right, they do have a cybersecurity division, and they're hacking everybody. But you know, teenagers can hack anybody. I mean, attack is a lot easier than defense on the internet. However, some of the Russian malware is pretty good. So I mean, you're quite correct. It doesn't mean that everything they do is no good, but apparently their hands-on teams are not very good. I must point out their murderers are not very good either. There's quite a few cases where the Russians poisoned someone and yet they lived, like Navalny poisoned him, I think, twice, and he lived through the poisoning attempts. Yeah, bad keys does sound like it, but it isn't. Like a bad attack, a bad site. Anyway, here's a ransomware case, the kind of thing that made me motivated to put like anti-malware on my Mac. In this case, it took 4 hours from the initial access to domain-wide ransoming everything. I see some question about Castro, but I don't know. Oh, you mean we tried to kill Castro? Yes, probably. I don't know much about that, but I would imagine it's similar nonsense. Anyway, but they show how it happened, and it's actually very simple. Things like simple command line scripts and such were used, but the point is you only had 4 hours from the initial intrusion to where they infected everything and encrypted everything. All right. Well, I think that's enough of that. We stop the recording. Now let's get down.